I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living or get busy dying. So, we are back, and tonight we are doing a review of something that is not a challenge in the book. I'm taking a break, just 1 week. I want to talk about something that really captivated me, a film that shocked me. It was so good, and I've seen it so many times, and it just sometimes you see a film that just gets you somehow, and you just watch it over and over because you're so captivated by something, the story or the acting or the music or the something, and you for whatever unpredictable reason you love it so much. And tonight is I'm talking about definitely one of those films for me. Before we get into this, a few disclaimers. These videos are completely unedited and unfiltered. So whatever comes out of my mouth is what comes out of my mouth. And if I mess something up, I try to correct it in the notes. And I'll say adult things, absolutely. So if your kids are in the room, you probably want to ask them to leave or put your headphones on or something. And there will be spoilers, especially for the movie that I am reviewing. There will be spoilers, but have no fear. I go off on tangents sometimes and I give spoilers away for other things, but I will put a list of all the movies that I mention in this video underneath the video, and there'll be a header that says spoilers. So if you want to avoid spoilers for anything, you can just look at that list of films. And I will say, this is one of those movies, Manchester by the Sea. This is one of those movies that absolutely, if you have not seen, do not listen to this review. It'll ruin the fucking movie for you. Absolutely, it will ruin it. So please, if you're interested, go watch it. I wholeheartedly recommend it for everyone. It is brilliant. It is fantastic. Casey Affleck won the award, the Academy Award, and deserved it. This is a great film, but I will I will fuck it up for you because there are things you're not supposed to know. Things that, of course, I will talk about. So let's move right into it. Manchester by the Sea, year release 2016, which in my opinion was a great year for film. There was a lot of movies that came out in 2016 that I really, really loved. Running time 2 hours 17 minutes. Genre psychological drama, tragedy, drama. Rated R. Date watched. I just finished this August 30th. You probably won't get the video until the 31st because it's 10:45. And by the time I finish this, I'm not gonna want to I'm not gonna want to post it. I have disc golf tomorrow, so. My rating, 4.5 out of 5 or 9 out of 10. I love this movie. It's fantastic. Couple of little things that I maybe either didn't agree with or didn't or caught or didn't like. So I can't give it a 5, at least not for me. Starring. Okay, I put down several of the people that I had to mention. Casey Affleck is brilliant in this. Now, I've seen other things that he did, and I really like him. I know he hated... he's gone on record saying he absolutely hated doing Drowning Mona, but I love him in Drowning Mona, and I've seen other things that I really like him in. He's really good. I appreciate his acting, and this blew me away. He's amazing. He's amazing. One of the reasons why I keep going back to this movie is because he is so captivating. His acting is so brilliant, and he is so this character. It constantly draws me back to it. I wasn't sure I wanted to watch this. It was nominated for a couple of Academy Awards in 2016, but if I remember correctly, I'm looking at the list now, 2016 was definitely a year that I was like, I'm not watching everything. There was a couple of things that I just wasn't interested in, still am not really interested in, might go back and watch, but it's a stretch. So there was a handful of things that I was like, eh. But there was a bunch of stuff that year that was great, fantastic, and brilliant. Some of which didn't even make it into the awards as nominated. But I remember hearing about this film, and it just like was a huge sweep. Like people didn't. It came out of the blue kind of thing. People weren't expecting it. It was a big deal. And I was like, oh, I should probably watch that. But Casey Affleck at the time wasn't a huge draw for me. And neither was Lucas Hedges, who's also in this. So there was nobody in it that really drew me to it. But the talk got me to watch it. And I sat and watched it at home, and it blew me away. Like, blew me away. And since I've seen it, I bought it and literally like watched it almost every week or every 2 weeks. I was watching it just because it drew me back to it, and it drew me back to it, and I wanted to watch it again, and I wanted to watch it again. I've seen it a lot of times. Also starring Michelle Williams. Kyle Chandler is great in this movie. C.J. Wilson, had to say C.J. Wilson because he's so great in this film. I don't really know him for much else, but liked him a lot in this movie. Gretchen Mol. Okay, I'm going to mess this up. I apologize ahead of time. Her name is not a name that I'm used to seeing the spelling of, so I apologize ahead of time. Rubio, Khan, Rubio, Ruibo. How do you put the I in that? Ruibo? Is it Ruibo? Khan, Qian. I'm so used to a Q having a U after it, so not seeing the U after it is kind of messing with my brain. Kian. I just liked her. She played Dr. Bethany, and she was great. Very little screen time, but I liked her a lot. She did a great job, so I had to put her in there. And Matthew Broderick, again. Matthew Broderick's a big star, and, he's in this very, very short screen time, but brilliant. Like, perfectly cast. I have a note to that effect later on. This movie is directed by Kenneth Lonergan, produced by a bunch of people, and you may, if you've been listening to my reviews, you know that I only put down people that are produced by, not co-producer, executive producer, executive co-producer, blah, 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 blah. Just produced by. And there's actually a lot. Lauren Beck, Matt Damon produced this, Chris Moore, Kimberly Stewart, and Kevin J. Walsh. I remember hearing that Matt Damon produced this. I remember hearing at the time that Matt Damon produced a film that Casey Affleck was in. Written by Kenneth Lonergan. Music by Leslie Barber, which I have plenty to say about that. Cinematography by, I gotta add this. The book doesn't do it, but I have to add this because cinematography has a lot to do with what you're watching. It's one of the big categories that I pay attention to every year in the Academy, so I have to mention, when it's not in the book, I gotta start mentioning cinematography by Jody Lee Lipes, 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 or Lopez. Awards received. Casey Affleck won for Best Leading. Now, I was like, okay, I think he fucking deserved it. God, he blows me away. But then I was like, okay, who else? I know I didn't watch everything, but I was like, who else was nominated that year? Did I see? Probably not. And I look up my list, and I'm like, no, of course, I didn't see everything. I did not see Hacksaw Ridge, although it's on my list to see, because I hear it's great. Isn't that directed by Mel Gibson? I think it is. Andrew Garfield was nominated for Hacksaw Ridge. Ryan Gosling was nominated for La La Land, which I've heard from multiple people is a waste of time. And that's why I never watched it. Actually, my husband at the time was watching it with friends of his. I was supposed to be there watching it with them, but I got stuck at work. By the time I got there, they were like 45 minutes in, and all three of them were like, nope, don't watch it. And they finished it, but I didn't. I never watched it. I hate to say that, but I don't think I've ever heard anybody actually have a positive thing to say about that movie, which is sad because I mean, it was a big movie that year. Viggo Mortensen was nominated for Captain Fantastic. I don't even remember hearing about that movie. I don't know what it's about. Blah, no idea. So 3 of the 5 I have not seen. Denzel Washington in Fences. Absolutely, I saw that. Absolutely, he is fucking brilliant. That movie is great. I loved it. Amazing. I have a note later on, a connection with this and Fences. I'll talk about it later. But it's really, Denzel, I've already said, is one of the GOATs in Hollywood. One of the amazing fucking people. And it hurt my soul when I saw on IMDb the other day saying that he might retire. Oh, man, really? Really? I know you've got more to give. I know you've got more to give, Denzel. But between Casey Affleck in Manchester by the Sea and Denzel Washington in Fences, I love Denzel Washington in Fences. He's amazing. But Casey Affleck blew me away because he is not typically this fucking amazing, this outstanding. And that's what they say, outstanding achievement in. And so it would have been hard, but I would have voted for Casey Affleck in between them. I haven't seen everything else. Another award received. It also received an award for Best Original Screenplay, which I think the screenplay is amazing. The story is great. The dialogue is brilliant. But then I was like, okay, what else was nominated that year? Hell or High Water. Oh my God, another amazing, fantastic, blow me away, brilliant film. I had a friend of mine who was also a client who used to write for film and television. He has since passed. Unfortunately, he passed 2 years ago. He used to write for film and television. Amazing guy, sweetheart. I don't think that anybody will be upset with me mentioning Dwayne Poole. He really did a great job with a lot of writing, and he was such a sweetheart. He told me to watch this film. In 2016, he was like, I saw a film that has brilliant writing. You need to watch it. And I was like, he's never recommended a movie to me, ever. And I was like, oh, okay. So I decided to watch it, and Hell or High Water blew me away. It was amazing, wonderful writing, brilliant. The acting is amazing by Chris Pine and Ben Foster are brilliant in that film. So another one where it's like, oh man, there were so many great films in 2016, and those Manchester by the Sea and Hell or High Water are 2 of them. Fences is another one, which I just mentioned. Okay, so original screenplay also, La La Land was nominated. The Lobster, for whatever reason, and I keep trying, I keep trying earnestly and honestly, for whatever reason, I cannot get into anything Yorgos Lanthimos. I don't like his films, I don't like the story, I don't like his directing style, I don't like the cinematography. I can't get into any of his films, and I've watched almost all of them. Yeah, I'm not going to mention them all. I've seen almost all of them, especially the ones that were nominated, and I was like, I'm so hopeful, and then just can't do it. I can't. So I didn't see The Lobster. It was one of the few that I haven't seen of his, so I don't know what the screenplay was like, but it would be hard pressed to say that I would have enjoyed it. And then the other movie nominated for original screenplay was 20th Century Women, which I don't know anything about. So, again, between the 2 that I did see, Manchester by the Sea and Hell or High Water, again, it would have been a real hard vote. Like, holy shit. Honestly, I probably would have voted Hell or High Water. I love Manchester by the Sea, and the dialogue is brilliant and everything, but Hell or High Water, the story they're both fantastic, but I think I lean towards that one. They both have great realism. They're both wonderfully acted, but that has nothing to do with the screenplay. I think I might have leaned Hell or High Water on that one. Anyway, don't want to spend forever on this. Let's move on. why this movie, again, I've already said, it captivated me so much. I mean, there's so much greatness about this film. I recommend it wholeheartedly, absolutely, to everyone. It is so good. It's very serious, dramatic. It's at parts, it's hard to watch. Yes. Again, if you haven't seen it, stop. I'm going to give away stuff that you don't want to know. I'm about to do it. So, it's very gut-wrenching at times. I was a blubbery mess multiple times in this film. So, let's get into my notes, because I have tons. And I don't want to make this a 10-hour video, but it might be. I literally have like 50 or 60 pages of... No, I'm not 50, 60, but I do have a lot. Such a beautiful place, wherever they filmed, and I'm assuming it's Manchester, because Manchester by the Sea. It's so gorgeous, and the colors that they bring out, so many vibrant colors throughout the entire movie. This is not one of those movies where they mute the color or anything like that. They really... Again, that's why I mentioned the cinematography. They really made the colors shine, and the scenic shots. The dialogue is brilliant. I've already said that. Everybody is great in this movie. I don't think there's a person in this movie that I didn't like. I don't think. There's a person in this movie where I was like, that could have been somebody else. Everybody's great in this movie. They did a great job. Casey Affleck really does play two different characters in this film. Again, I'm giving so much away, so stop if you haven't seen this. Okay, he really does play two different characters before the incident and after the incident. And in the beginning, you're not supposed to know what the hell is going on, and you see this unemotional, closed off like person just totally, and he does it so well. He does it so well that I'm like, what is up with this person? The first time I watched it, that's what compelled me so much. What is going on with this guy? Why is he like this? Why is he reacting? What is up with this guy? It made me, without telling me anything, it made me want to figure out what I want to know what happened. Or why he's like this, or what, or, it's one of those characters that's so intriguing, you want to know why. It's like Jack Nicholson in Good As It Gets. He's so intriguing, he's such a character that you're like, why is he like this? Why? And you want to watch more and figure out and go, okay. In that, there's no real explanation. He has a condition, which I used to be OCD, so I get it, but he's not just OCD, there's more to it. And that is what it is. This movie, there is a clear event that delineates the two characters. And what I like about it is they're showing you, this is going to go into some of my other notes, it's fine. What I like about it is this movie shows you certain things at certain times. It doesn't want to give certain things away, which you don't want to know certain things in the beginning. You want to be intrigued. You want to know, like, starved to figure out what's going on, because they show you the hints of him like this wonderful care-loving wonderful guy, and then how he is now, which is just totally almost emotionless, like, almost, and you're like, why is he two completely different people? What happened? You are really, as the audience member, going, what happened? And you're waiting for that. Tell me what happened. Tell me what happened. Which is brilliant. I love it. I'm in love with my janitor. She's great. I just think it's funny that she's like on the phone trying to talk quietly, like, I'm in love with my janitor. Have you ever had a sex fantasy about your handyman or something? And he's clearly hearing everything while he's washing his hands. It's hilarious. And then again, like I said, the writing is great. The dialogue is brilliant. When he comes out and when she says, "Can I give you a tip?" and he's like, "What do you mean, like a suggestion?" She's like, "No, like a tip, like money." It's one of those things that I wouldn't have thought to write. It's cute. It's funny. It's great. It really breaks things up. And then right after that, that crazy lady Mrs. Olsen, that crazy lady, like, oh, what? You want me to take a shower right now in front of you? I don't give a fuck what you do. Setting up the character of Lee Chandler is so well done. Because you're like, what is with this guy? Why is he like this? Why is he reacting this way? And they show you multiple cases of him, you know, being this janitor, being this handyman. And you see him, how he reacts to everybody differently, how he reacts to certain things. And it's brilliant. And this part is no exception where she's like, get the fuck out of my house. I can't. You're in the way. It always makes me crack up. I can't. You're in the way. You're blocking the doorway. Yeah, that's it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so then right after that, they show his boss. Now, again, I hate saying such a small part, so I don't say that anymore. What I say is such little screen time. But Stephen McKinley Henderson, he's so great in so many other things. Civil War and Dune and just so many other things. I like him a lot. And when he shows up with a character that has such little screen time, but then commits to it 100%, it's like, oh, I want more of him. Oh, he's so good. I want to see, I like him. I know he had like only a couple of lines, but, just to see him in that. And I always forget his name. And so I can remember the McKinley, but I can never remember the Stephen McKinley Henderson. Okay, so sometimes it just escapes my brain, his name. And I saw him once at a cafe. Anyway, when I went and looked it up so I could write down his name, I saw that his birthday is August 31st, which is tomorrow. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I kind of wanted to mention, you're going to get the video posted on his birthday, which was kind of neat. But he was also in Fences. Much bigger part, same year, much more screen time, and fantastic. Him and Denzel Washington were great, bouncing off each other the entire film. That shows off his acting quality. But this is just because it's little screen time doesn't mean it's any less, because he really, he is that character. And to be two completely different characters and still believe him, that's what acting is all about. But I wanted to mention him because of the connection between the two films, both being nominated that year for different things, and his birthday tomorrow. So the first bar scene, if you missed it, watch it again. Don't skip over to the fact that when that girl gets her beer, her friend pushes her into Lee to try to get them to talk. I'm sure that was a whole setup. And then the reason why I say don't skip that, don't miss that, is because it's funny as hell that it backfires, because he is so not there and not interested. And she doesn't know why. She's pretty. She seems sweet. And she made the effort to kind of meet him. And he is just not there. Again, it's another, like, what is with this character? I want to find out more. This is still the beginning. You're like, what is with this character? But great little scene. I liked it. And then the bar fight. I always wondered, is that like a hint of like I hate homophobia. I hate that. That's such a dumb word. I have a clinically diagnosed phobia, not of homosexuality, obviously, but the word homophobia is just wrong, and it needs to be changed. It needs to be thrown out, but I don't know what word to use. Homo biased, homo prejudiced. I don't know. But are they trying to hint that he's prejudice against gays? Does he think that they're trying to, they're looking over there because they're hitting on him? Or does he just not give a fuck? Which I feel like his character just doesn't give a fuck. And he started the fight on purpose. Of course he did, Snow. Oh my God, the snow. It is so beautiful. I've already said before, the shots are just gorgeous. I love cold weather. I'm so sick of this heat in LA. It's been way too hot. and it's about to go up to the hundreds, and I'm just like, again, and I'm like, no. And just to watch this movie and see the beautiful snow and the lake or the ocean is just like the ocean with the overcast, because I like those shots of the ocean. I don't like the shots of like Santa Monica where it's sunny. I'm allergic to the sun, so it's sunny and bright and hot. Ugh. But the ocean shots in this are beautiful, overcast and snowing and gorgeous, and oh yeah. Anyway. Oh, the phone call. Oh my God, I don't know why. I only just started talking, but my throat feels like it's like I've overdone it or something. I'm like, well, I didn't do anything tonight. Why am I? Anyway, the phone call. There is so much brilliant acting in this film by Casey Affleck. So much. But something's up right away. You just don't know what. And what I like, you don't know what the situation is, but what I also like is you don't know quite how serious, because Casey Affleck hasn't broken down. So you're like, maybe, I don't think anybody died. But then you're like, he literally drops everything. Is like, I'm on my way. I'm going to be there in an hour and a half. And you're like, okay, it's definitely serious, but what? He's not reacting. Well, that's the character. He's not, because anyway, we'll get to it. He's closed off. We'll get to it. Okay, here's the note, and it continues throughout all my notes every once in a while. The music is fucking overbearing. Sometimes it's just way too much. And I'm like, what the fuck? But as much as I don't appreciate it or don't like it, it works. It makes sense why the music is that way. Why it's overbearing, to soften the subject, to soften the blow, to kind of remind us that we're not in the film, we're observing a story, which for this kind of a subject matter where it gets really serious sometimes, I think that's purposeful. It's important. It keeps you a little bit outside of it, not like in it. So I get why the music is like that. It makes sense, but I wouldn't have done it. That's not something I appreciate. Sometimes it's just way too much for me, for my taste. Again, another reason why I can't give it a 5-star, because for me, I'm just like, a little much. And when he gets there, what's the first thing he says to CJ Wilson, George? What's the first thing he says to George? Is he dead? Oh, great. We see him go to the hospital, so we knew something was up. I mean, we already kind of knew something was up. But when he says, is he dead? The non-reaction, again, his closed off, non-reaction, non-emotional. He reacts, but non-emotional. It's just like, his acting is brilliant. His acting is brilliant. And it's just great to see him, and you're still going, what the fuck is up with this guy? You don't know who, but somebody's dead, and he's just so non-emotionally reactive. And it's like, what's going on? And then you find out, when he finally says, where's my brother? And then you're like, oh, it's his brother. Shit. Why isn't he reacting? Like, what's going on? And then finally he's like, oh, fuck this. And then that silence. Nobody says anything. And he takes that time and he looks this way and that. Again, brilliant performance. And then he's like, sorry. And they're like, no, it's okay, it's okay. So he had something there bottled up in, but he's not letting enough of it out. He's not letting a lot of it out. He's very emotionally closed off. Emotionally, just like, wow. He's such a great job. And then in the elevator ride down, we finally find out what was wrong with his brother, what was going on. See, I love the way this story is broken up. The way they tell you certain things when they tell you is very, in my opinion, very well done. Very well done. I appreciate every single time they don't tell you something yet. every single time. And then when they reveal it, it feels like that's the perfect time for it. It does. So now we find out what happened to his brother. That whole scene when he's in the hospital bed is so well done. There's so much realism to this. And it's not just what was written, the dialogue, because I'm sure there might have been some ad lib. I don't doubt it. But what was written, the story and what's going on is very well done because it brings a sense of realism. But then also everybody's performance brings such a real feel to what's going on. And that's probably part directing as well. So everybody's work on this just makes it feel so real, like real life, like I'm watching somebody's home movie of real life. What must it be like to hear that you have 5 to 10 years to live? Again, the woman who played Dr. Bethany is wonderful. Her dialogue, the dialogue that they give her is wonderful. The character is great. You know, you're not a statistic. You're one person. I love that. I love that about that doctor. But all of them hear that he's got 5 to 10 years to live. And it's just like, how do you react? How? And everyone's so great. And I don't think I would have been able to leave like she does. She just is so fed up with it, and she leaves, and you're like, how can you? What does he say? I'm in the fucking hospital here. You know, he's in the bed. He's like, how can you leave? How can you go home? I find that frustrating, but that's the character. The character. I couldn't have done that. There are multiple times in this movie that you have to... I love repeat views because I get to see more and pay attention to more in certain scenes, like when Casey Affleck goes into the... I guess it would be the mortuary where his brother's body is. Watch his performance. There's a reason why the camera stays on him and doesn't do a bunch of cuts. His performance is fucking brilliant. You know what's going on. You know where we're going. He said, I wanted to see my brother's body. So you know where we're going. You know the room he's being led into. You know by the sound what's going on. They're pulling the body out of the freezer. They're opening it up. So you know what's going on. We don't need to see it, which I'm glad. We don't need to see it. What we want to pay attention to is Casey Affleck. We want to pay attention to Lee. And the brilliant performance he gives. He doesn't know what to do with his hands. Then where he's looking. Pay attention to how he's so... His emotions are so bottled up, he won't let anything out, and you can see it in his performance. And then when he looks at the doctor and then finally goes to his brother, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love rewatching that part because it's one of those parts that just, wow, how did he come up with all those little things? Just a brilliant performance. A brilliant performance. Love it. I love it. The shock stories. The shocks. I love when he's telling swims. Sharks don't swim in schools. Yeah, very smart. You're just the kind of smart boy that a large school of sharks look after, or something like that. Oh my God, the shark stories are hilarious. It's so funny. And it's ridiculous. But it shows the two different characters. It shows Lee Chandler before and Lee Chandler after. But we don't know what yet. But it's driving home over and over that he wasn't always like this. He wasn't always like this, which is, it's nice to see. I love the realism and just like slice of life. Like we get to see how he's like, how he was before whatever. And one of the brilliant ones is when he comes home after they're fishing, and you can see he's kind of he's tired and kind of tipsy, and he's saying hi to everybody. He's tripping over everything, and she's in bed sick. Randy's in bed sick, and she's like, "Get off me," and the kids, and don't pick up the boy. I just got him down, and all this brilliant, like, if you've ever been if you come from a large family, you get it. That look and chaos and that feel, it's so sweet to see. And he does such a great job. Casey Affleck does such a great job. He's so comfortable in this part, it's wonderful. I love seeing that part. And it's really important to establish how he is with his family. It's really important to establish who he was before whatever and who he was after whatever, because we clearly know there's a before and after, because the two characters are so vastly different. And I love all those things, and not just his family, but also how he is with Patrick. That's very important, because now we know the brother is dead. We know Joe is dead. Joe Chandler is dead. And we know that Patrick is now alone, or do we know that? I don't know if we know at this point that the mother is out of the picture. We might not. I don't know. I think we find out later. But anyway, we know that there is a relationship between Lee and his family that we don't see in the present day. And there's a relationship between Lee and Patrick that we don't see in present day. So throwing that in before we really get to the meat of the story is important, and I love it. And I love the way they do it. The mystery, again, like, who is this guy? What's going on? The mystery behind how everyone reacts to hearing that Lee Chandler is in town. Oh, that's Lee Chandler? Oh, that's the Lee Chandler? That's all bullshit, right? Like, what? The mystery, the intrigue is there's something going on. What's going on? It's very well done. It's very well done. The misunderstanding about getting out of the car is, again, this feels so real. It's done so well that it feels like a slice of life, like real. When Patrick's like, Lucas Hedges is great. I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff. I love him in this. He does a great job. I think he's done some other work that's better than this, but I do, he's really good in this, really comfortable in this. I like him. And when he's like, let's go, and Lee thinks that he means let's leave, and so he goes, but he's trying to get out of the car because he meant let's go into the hospital. That's just great. I loved it. I crack up every time because it's so well done, and it feels so real. And and the explosion that Lee has, like, what the fuck are you doing? I almost ripped your leg off, or something like that. It's great. It's so well done, and real. Oh, and then when he again, I love to see the realism. Everybody's going to react to death differently. Everybody's going to react to, sickness differently. That scene where they all find out he has, 5 or 10 years to live. Everybody's going to react differently. And I love when they really accentuate the fact that two people are reacting completely different. And again, here's this part where Patrick wants to go see his dad's body. And beforehand, Lee was in the car saying he looks dead. He doesn't look like he's asleep, and he doesn't look gross. He's dead. And, some people don't want to see that, and that's fine. He's just trying to figure out what Patrick wants to do. When Patrick decides he wants to go in and see his dad's body, I love that he doesn't even get all the way to the body. And he's like, oh, okay, that's it. He's like, oh, he said, yeah, okay, thanks. And he's like, done. He's like, doesn't even need to see it. He's done. That's it. He barely saw his dad over there in the bag, was like, okay, I'm done, and walks out. it's great to see the difference in the reactions. I don't think that that's funny. I get that it's very serious. I just love how the reactions are so different. It's done really, really well. Oh, the kids, the kids talking about Star Trek. I can't believe we're talking about Star Trek right now. It reminds me of Good Will Hunting. The multiple times where they're yelling at Casey Affleck, yelling and arguing, although Casey Affleck is not in this scene, the Star Trek scene. But the dialogue, the way they talk to each other, the emotion behind it, just it's so. And I guess the point is, they're Boston. It's as Bostonian or however you want to say it. It's so well done. It feels the same way. Those group of people talking and commiserating and it just feels the same. The dialogue and the acting is done so well. They feel like they're from the same neighborhood, all of them, you know. Am I supposed to tell you to use a condom? There are so many brilliantly awkward, on purpose, brilliantly awkward scenes in this movie, and this is one of them where Lucas is like, "Can she stay over? And can you tell her parents that she stayed downstairs, not in my room?" And then he's like, "Am I supposed to tell you to wear a condom or use a condom? Is that what Joe would tell you?" Or is that what your dad would say? So take away the fact that it's funny and it's supposed to it's supposed to be funny, but also get the fact that Lee is so awkward and like doesn't know how to deal with this. So here's the first hint that we get that Lee didn't go through this with his kids. We know he had kids. I mean, they had that scene where he comes home and he says hi to 2 girls or 3 girls and a boy who's just a baby in the crib. I think it was 2 girls and a baby in the crib. So we know he had kids. He has kids, okay? But now we get this first hint of he doesn't know how to deal with this. He doesn't know how to parent a teenager. Why? You know, I'm like, I put no assumption here the first time I watched it. I just kind of knew, why doesn't he get how to do this? It did ring like that to me. Like he should have already been through this, right? I mean, was Patrick that much older than them? Maybe. But he should still, I don't know. I know the kids aren't around because all those establishing shots in the beginning are all just him. So we know he lives alone in that little place. So his kids aren't around. Okay, well, did he not go through any of this with his kids? We never saw his kids visit. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I'm still kind of like, what's up? And that's another hint of like, okay, he hasn't gone through this. He hasn't taught this. He asks, should I tell my mom? And he's like, no, nobody knows how to get a hold of her anyway, right? And he kind of vague about it. Oh, okay. I just thought I'd ask. So we know mom's not in the picture. We know. And then they show that establishing shot of her passed out, drunk on the couch, naked from the waist down. She's naked from the waist down. And just what the fuck when they come in, you know, young Patrick and Joe and Lee, and you're just like, what the fuck, dude? And now you get a glimpse of why she's not in the picture. Joe reacts very negatively, but not completely out of the realm of like, this has never ever happened before. No, shit like that probably has happened before, even though he's disappointed and hurt by what's going on. So we know now why she's not in the picture, for the most part. This frustrates me. Character-wise, it's done really, really well. It's the characters that frustrate me, not the directing or writing or acting. None of that. The directing, writing, acting, everything is wonderful. But when Lee is at the table, the kitchen table, and he's making arrangements, he's got a coffee, sitting at the kitchen table, making arrangements, then the girl comes down, Sandy comes down and starts making her breakfast. He's on the phone already talking. She's making her breakfast. She doesn't live there. She stayed the night. Okay, so she stayed the night. Fine. Then Patrick comes down and starts getting breakfast. And Lee is still making the arrangements on the phone. And she leans over and says, I don't think Patrick needs to be here for this. And I was like, what? One, what is it any of your fucking business? You don't live here. You stayed the night. Like, who? You don't even know fucking Lee. Like, what? What? You don't know their dichotomy and how they act and what they say and what they do. You don't know their relationship at all. You know? And then, Patrick's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And then Lee just gets up and, like, leaves, and he's still, like, saying shit on the phone. I was like, it frustrates me as a person. Like, how dare you? That's rude. That's rude. You don't that's not your place to say that. It irks me about that. But it's very well done, and I get why it's done. It's just that irks me about that character. It's none of your business. It's none of your. What place is it of yours? You stayed the night. So the brilliance of Casey Affleck's acting. God, I can't say it enough. He deserved the award. I can't say it enough. I can't be his guardian. His reaction to me feels so real and on point. I'm just like, whoa. He is literally like, no, I can't. I just can't. And the way he's like, I can't. There's no way. I'm just a backup. I'm just a backup. There is something brilliant in his performance because I get that he's not an ass. I mean, we have all this establishing scenes and all this stuff beforehand. But in this scene right here, I get that he's not a jerk and just saying, I don't want to do this. He's dealing with something that you can feel that he doesn't trust himself to be the guardian. You can tell that the character feels like he can't handle it. And there's a reason he can't handle it. But we don't know what that is. And it's all in the performance. It is brilliant. Saying I can't do this, I can't, is different than where he's coming from. Saying, I don't want to do this is different than where he's coming from. Saying I have my own life, I can't deal with this, is different. He is not any of that. He is very much shocked that Joe would even assume that he would do this. Shocked, he just says, I'm the backup. Shocked that it wasn't somebody else. Shocked that I can't. He doesn't trust himself, and it's wonderful. It's in the performance. The way they flip back and forth between the memory in this scene, when he's still in the lawyer's office, the way they bounce back and forth between the scenes is fucking brilliant. Because in your head, you're going through all this like, oh, it's because he's a fucking frat boy. Maybe they got a divorce and she took the kids. He's not an adult. He can't deal with adult shit. We're watching this scene where he's drunk and with all his friends, and then his friends are leaving. He's like, look at the star, look at Jupiter. Like, did you see Jupiter, you fucking asshole? I start getting that feeling like, oh, she fucking left. She divorced him. Okay, that's what's going on. And he lost his kids. She took them, and probably doesn't get to see them much, and he doesn't trust himself to take care of Patrick because he's a fuck up. He's a I wouldn't say drunk because we never see him, except for in the bar. We can tell it's not excessive. He's not a drunk. But in these early shots of this scene, he's drunk through the whole scene, obviously. I'm going through all this other explanation of what might be, and I was literally fucking floored. I was shocked. I was so shocked and so emotional, and I was a blubbery mess when you find out what really happened, when he comes home and the house is on fire, and the brilliant fucking shot of him just standing there with the groceries in his arm, and all you see is the back, and he's behind everybody watching the house burn, and you're, oh, fuck, I almost I was so shocked. I was almost like, it really? No. Is that really their house? And then she comes out and is like, my kids are in there. It's just, it was heart-wrenching. It was gut-wrenching. It was just like, I was so shocked. And it started to make sense. It started to fall into place. Like, holy fuck. The story is great. And so well done. So well done. Except for a few little things. And I will say, fucking hate with a passion this stupid scene where they're trying to get in the ambulance and they can't get it in there. That, in my opinion, was so fucking wrong. So fucking wrong on multiple levels. I hate that was included. It was one of those things I wish they cut out. It's one of those things where the reason why I can't give it a 5-star. This is a very emotional, very serious scene. We didn't need the comedy breakup. We didn't need that right now. We still have a little bit to go through in the next scene, which I have notes of. In the next cut, we still have stuff to go through. That was the wrong place to put in a comic relief, a break in the tension of the scene. Wrong place. And it makes ambulance workers look like they don't know incompetent and don't know what they're doing. Wrong. I fucking hate that scene. I really wish that little part was taken out. I very strong feelings about that. But let's move on. Literally right after this is why I say that we didn't need the comedy breakup. We didn't need that tension breaker, because then, like, we see the firefighters pulling the body bags out of the ruins. It's too emotionally charged to throw that in there. It was wrong. It was wrong, in my opinion. Absolutely wrong. Needed to be taken out. Needs to be taken out. And then right after that, we see, right after the bodies are being brought up, we see that we finally see where Lee delineates. The two Lees delineate. We watch it happen in these two scenes next to each other. When he is when he's dealing with the bodies being taken out, he doesn't understand, doesn't know what to do, even though we can't hear. The music is loud. We can't hear the dialogue. Again, the music works, even though it frustrates me sometimes. The music is really loud and overbearing here, but there is no dialogue, so it works. It makes sense. It works. It's just not something I would have done, and that's fine. But he is like unable to deal with what's going on and answering their questions, and his brother Joe is there with him, and then, he takes the groceries, they put him down. He really can't figure out what's going on. You see him start to delineate. You see him start to, like, shut down in that scene and, like, trying to process what's going on. That's why I said we didn't need the comedy. They really didn't need the fucking comedy there. It needs to be taken out. We didn't need that. I can't remember if I put the screen on the fireplace. And then he takes that big pause. This is when he's being interrogated in the room, and he's telling them the story of what happened. That huge pause after, I can't remember if I put the screen on the fireplace. And then he takes that pause. That is the delineation between the two Lees. You see it happen. You see the shift. You see him blame at that moment. He is now, it's all my fault. You can see it in his performance. You can see it in his demeanor. And that pause is, I did it. It was my fault. I did it. It was my fault. And that's where he shuts down as a person, and you get the two Lees. That's it. To him, it's not an accident. It wasn't an accident. It was his fault. And then the disbelief when he's like, I can go. He can't understand that. No, it's my fault. I did this. I should be in jail, right? I mean, I killed them. I burnt the house down. And when he tries to kill himself, when he goes after the officer's gun and tries to kill himself, it was not because of how the scene is going and how emotionally charged and how everything is. It was not 100% shock that happened, even though it was a shock. Like, whoa, okay. It was not a shock that it went there. And it explains so much. It explains so much about his character. We finally get why he's this way. And now, for the rest of the movie, we can see him through that lens. We can now see his performance and his emotionally cut off performance. We can see that with this new realization, and it amplifies how brilliant his performance is. I have another note about the music. Like and every note says almost the same thing, that it's loud, it's overbearing, but it works. It makes sense why they do that. I just didn't agree with it. He does not like reliving this event. I don't blame him. He does not like thinking about it. He does not like reliving it. And when he walks out of the lawyer's office and just basically explodes all over Patrick, kind of like, just his reaction is just at multiple points. It's just the realism of the character, the realism of his actions. I mean, I've blown up on people. I've blown up in situations where it had nothing to do with the situation, had to do with my frustration with something else. So I get it. Okay, if I were... Here's the one time where that question in the book, which character were you most able to identify with or connect with? This is the one time where I'm like, okay, I can identify a lot with this character. A lot with Lee. I've never done anything even remotely like what I've never been in that situation even remotely like him, but a lot of those feelings and emotions and a lot of his reactions, I understand. I get it. I've been there. I have more notes to the effect of how multiple times I get it. I've been in that feeling. And that guy passes, great fucking parenting or whatever he says, you never know what someone else is going through. How dare you judge them by one thing? I mean, if he's hitting the kid, then absolutely you step in. That's not okay. But yelling at the kid, you don't know what any of them are going through, I can't obey your orders until you unlock the door. That's where you break it up. This is where you need the comic relief. We've just gone through all this heavy shit. Now we need some comic relief. Not the fucking ambulance. That was just so bad done. I'm so irritated at that. It was so wrong. They put him in the freezer. That really freaks me out. That the realism of the situation, how the two characters deal with, Joe having to be on ice or frozen in the morgue because they can't bury him yet because the ground is so... I've never dealt with that situation because I've never lived in a place or known somebody who died in a place that had that extreme weather that they couldn't bury him. But I understand it. I get it. And there are different reactions to it and the tension between them because of it. It's really well done. Patrick has 2 girlfriends. I was not expecting that at all. And how, it's just oh, okay, that's what we're doing, I love that Sandy's mom is trying to pick up Lee in that first scene, not later on, in the first one, where she's trying to pick up Lee. And now we get why he's so emotionally closed off. We see the same... almost the same fucking words. We see the same reaction he has to her trying to pick him up as in the beginning with that woman in the bar who had her friend push her against him. He has the same reaction. Only then we had no idea why. Here we get what happened to him and we get why he's closed off, and now we understand why. I mean, not 100%. But enough, we understand why he's that way. And I love that they redid this situation to show why he's closed off in that way, why he's uninterested. It has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with her. Oh my God. The awkwardness of of Patrick trying to take off his pants or trying to get into her pants. That whole situation is hilarious. That whole first scene where they're trying to, do anything is just the hilarity of teenage sexual charged, anything. It's just it was funny. I love the way they put it in there. I love the way they did it. Really good. Another oh my God, brilliant performance is when Casey is at home, or excuse me, Lee is at home. And Randy calls to ask if she can go to the funeral. And his performance is again, I've been in the situation where I really don't want to talk to this person, was not expecting them to call, and just trying to be nice, trying not to say, and just the way he paces, the way he tries to get words out, you can see him bottle it up. It's just a brilliant fucking performance. And when she says she's pregnant and you can see it wrenches him. You could just, and then he wants to get off the phone, and how he gets off the phone, and I gotta go. The way he does it is just wow. His performance is it's almost like he's done all this before, and he just brings it up for the film. And I don't know if that's true of Casey or not, Casey Affleck. I don't know, but his performance, because I've been through those situations, I'm God, I just feel right there with him. It's so good. The slow-mo, such a wonderful choice. The slow-mo, no dialogue, heavy music. Not the biggest fan of the heavy music, but the heavy music when everybody's coming into the funeral home, into the church. Wow, I love the way they do that. And you see everybody talking, but no dialogue. It's wonderful. The awkwardness when Randy and Josh show up, her new boyfriend or husband. She never said she's married, although she is pregnant. So we probably assume that she's married, but that she never actually says it. But his name is Josh. So Randy and Josh show up, and that awkwardness of it, and it's not, and then the way she decides to go to George first, it's George, right? Yeah. The way she decides to go to George first before she goes to Lee is just to see her process that and decide that is really, really well done. I love Casey Affleck's performance where he's looking. Another brilliant, like when he went to go see his brother. Another brilliant, like, watch his face, watch what he looks at, watch his reaction, the way he looks at Josh, the way he's like sizing him up, and not just his height, but like he's looking at his hair, he's looking at, he's looking at him. And we don't know what's going through his mind, but we can kind of feel like this is who she has now. She's got a baby with him now. All the thoughts that could be going through his head. If you've ever had an ex that you didn't really want to break up with, then they got together with somebody, that feeling, and he just does it so well. He does it so well in that quick little scene. You're a janitor in Quincy. What the hell do you care where you live? The fact that he can't stay, there's no way he's going to be able to stay. He's not even open to the possibilities. I can't. But also that he can't tell Patrick why. He can't express, he can't talk about why I can't stay. Why I feel like it can't work. I can't stay in this town. It's well done. It's well done. The freezer full of meat, the freak out is really well done. So I got to give it to Lucas Hedges, because if you have not had a panic attack, it's really hard to fake a panic attack. I don't know if Lucas Hedges has had a panic attack in his life, but he does a really good job of portraying that like I don't know why, I don't know what's going on, I don't know, and then fucking Casey Affleck is brilliant when he comes in and you see that shock on his face, like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to get rid of the meat? Is that what you want me to do? What do you want me? His performance. So dad, so kind of dad, because he's not dad, but he is, and it's just that performance is brilliant. It's amazing, and the subsequent scene is just equally as fucking brilliant. I wasn't expecting it. It's brilliant writing when he's like, just open the door. He's like, no, and he knocks the door. I can't have you freak out with the door shut. If you're going to freak out every time you see a frozen chicken, then I think we should go to the hospital, because I don't know how to deal with this. And then he says, I just don't like the idea of him being a freezer. You've expressed that very clearly. His performance, Casey's performance is brilliant. And the dialogue is wonderful because it makes sense. And I feel like I'm right there in the scene. It's so wonderful. And then when he's not leaving, he's like, I'm just going to sit here. I'm not going to bug you. And he's like, I'm calmed down now. You can leave. He's like, nope, not doing it. Why? You might think that scene is like, what is he doing? He's overreacting. No. Lee Chandler, the character, has been in this situation. He's tried to commit suicide. He has felt worthless. He has gone through breakdowns, and he doesn't know if Patrick is going through that thought or not. But he's not taking the chance because he's been there. That's why he's like, nope, I'm not leaving. I'm just going to sit here. I'm not going to do anything. And then he doesn't leave until he falls asleep. It's Suicide Watch. It's very well done. And the meaning behind it is perfect. And the way it's done is great. Lee gets it. He gets it. And that's why he's not leaving. And he doesn't know if Patrick is feeling or thinking that way. He's just not taking a chance. I love it. And then right after that, let's go get some furniture. So we go back to the flashback of, where Lee moves to this new place, and he's like, his brother Joe's like, let's go get some furniture. Total brother reaction. Total brother feel. Kyle Chandler is brilliant at playing an older brother. I loved him in Game Night when he played the older brother, you know. Those are the two situations that I know Kyle Chandler has played an older brother and done it so fucking well. I wonder if he is an older brother. That would be interesting because he does it brilliantly. And this reaction and how he does it is great. He's like, let's go. We're going to go get furniture. I don't care what you say. Then when Lee goes, he takes Patrick to school, and then he goes to pick up some stuff from home so they can temporarily move into the house for a little bit. And we see him throwing shit in the box. And then he's really careful with the frames. We only see the back of the frames, and we don't need to see what's in them because now we know what's in those frames. And the way he takes care of them so well is brilliant. And it says a lot. Not just when he packs them, but when he unpacks them. Wonderful. And again, here goes another situation where I get it. I've been there 100% when he punches the window. Now, I may not have punched a window, but I have punched a wall or thrown something across the room, or I have been in that not knowing how to react, not knowing something's up, is it gonna burst, and then it bursts. And that when he walks the room and then he's looking out and then he just it was not a shock to me at all because I could feel it in his performance. I knew it was going to happen. Something was going to happen. And when he puts his hand through the window, I was not surprised at all because I've been there. I feel it and I could recognize it. Again, Casey's wonderful. And maybe he's been through these situations in his life, and so he's just putting that into his performance. If he is, I mean, that's what acting's about. And he does it brilliantly. Oh, when he says, I hung up on her because I didn't know what to say to her. And I didn't tell you because I didn't know what to say to you. I'm sorry. I love it because he's so blunt and his ego is not in the way at all. He just... It's not that he didn't think he was going to get caught. He just didn't know what to say. And he explains that and said, I'm sorry, and let's move on. I don't give a fuck what you do. Literally, right after that, he's like, I don't give a fuck what you do. He didn't. He doesn't. He's taking his ego out of the situation, just letting himself be. And he doesn't know how to deal with this situation. The distrust that runs so deep about her. What's her name? Not the actress. The actress is Gretchen Mol. But what's the character's name? Darn it! Why isn't this on the top? I mean, she should be one of the top. Anyway, she's not. Gretchen Mol plays Elise Chandler, his mom, Patrick's mom. The distrust of Elise is like, I get it. I've dealt with alcoholism my entire life. Not me. I do drink alcohol. I am not an alcoholic. But I have plenty of family members who are, and friends who have been, or have had friends who were. So I've dealt with alcoholism my entire life. Had an employer who was, just all throughout my life. It's a wonder that I am responsible with, like, whoa, okay. But anyway, I get how you just can't trust, especially when they fuck up over and over and over, and you're just like, I can't. It's so hard for him to be like, if she's halfway normal, I'll let you have dinner. I'll let you have lunch with her. You know, just, it's really well done. I think Sandy's mother likes you. Okay, here's the funny one. God, she's beautiful. That actress is beautiful. Sandy's mom, like, wow. I don't even know if she has a name. Like in the they keep calling her Sandy's mom. Sandy's mom. She is beautiful. And her performance is great. I like her a lot in this. But it's just funny how awkward that situation is. How she's trying and he is just not, because he's just not there. He's not. Anyway, I thought that was funny. I did notice something tonight that I hadn't noticed before, is when he's trying to get the condom on in the dark, he gets up to like go across the room for whatever reason. The condom is on the bed. Like, it's clearly on the bed, like laying on the bed, out of its package. Then he hits his toe on the dollhouse and she flicks the light on and the condom is gone. I was like, oh, okay. I just noticed that tonight and was like, oh, that's a little incontinuity. Another brilliant scene. It's quick. So real and wonderful. I love Casey Affleck. I love Lee's reaction. I love Lee's dialogue, and Casey Affleck does it really, really well. I love when he's like, "You couldn't help me out. You couldn't make small talk." He's like, "Nope, nope, nope." He's just out. Nope, nope, not doing it. Nope, sorry. It cracks me up every time. He is just so, nope, not doing it. No, sorry. It's such a quick little scene, but it's hilarious because he is just so, nope, not doing it. I'm not going to sit there and make small talk. I can't do that for you. No, I'm not. I can't do that for me. I can't do that for you. Okay, we're getting there. Two pages. Two more pages. We're almost done. The awkwardness. Again, there is so much brilliant awkwardness well done in this film. The awkwardness of meeting Elise. Patrick meeting his mom. The shock of the situation of who she is now, ultra religious. You see this a lot, obviously. I mean, a lot of people do. I mean, you see this a lot, especially with recovering addicts. And just her performance, Gretchen Mol, she does such a fantastic job in that little scene. Like, I feel like, yes, she's a newly recovered addict, and just her, and the angst of meeting her, and the way, and just everything. She does a great job in that little scene. And who better to play fucking the husband? Who better to play, or fiance? Who better to play like he's really Christian? Isn't that what he says? He's really Christian. Matthew Broderick, I loved it. I was shocked when I saw him and was like, oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. I loved that casting. It was great. Here is the scene of the movie, the scene of a lifetime, the scene of the movie, the scene they played multiple times when it was up for an award. When Lee runs into Randy in the alley. It's so fucking great. It is so well done. We finally see Randy break down. We finally see Randy needing to deal with the situation. She hasn't been able to yet in the interactions that they've had. She hasn't been able to, but here is her opportunity. She asks her friend to go get the car. Here's her opportunity to be real. And what comes up is another time when I was a blubbering mess because I felt her. She did such a, Michelle Williams did such a fantastic fucking job in this scene. I felt what she was going through and her blaming herself, and I should burn in hell for the things I said to you, and I'm so sorry. My heart is broken, and it always will be broken. I mean, the dialogue is wonderful. My heart is broken, and it always will be broken. And I know yours is broken too. And it's just, that scene is amazing. And how Casey is just so shut off. And like, I can't do this. No. And when he finally, she's like, you can't just die. And he's, I know, no, there's nothing. What does he say? I can't, there's nothing there. There's not, and he's just, I gotta go. He's so closed, he's so shut down. He's so tortured with guilt that he won't let himself deal with it. It's classic, and it's beautifully done. He does such a great job. Casey does such a great job. That scene is so, blows my mind. It's so good. This whole story is so compelling, and the people are so real. This is why I keep going back to the movie. This is why I keep putting it in. It's just so damn good and real. Then, you know, the fight right after the fight in the bar scene, in the second fight that Lee has in a bar, not a shock. I almost expected something like that to happen. When we saw the bar scene, when we saw him in the bar, I knew that was coming. What did shock me, because Lee has been so, because the present Lee, not the past Lee, before the incident, the present Lee that we have seen throughout the entire movie, this is almost the end of the movie, so the present Lee that we've seen throughout the entire movie is so emotionally closed off. He barely has any reactions. We see that one time when he punches the glass. We see him barely have any reactions to anything, even when his brother died. You know, it was such a shock and gut-wrenching, honestly, and it's so quick. When he, after the bar scene, and he's in George's home, I don't know George's wife's name, but that breakdown when he starts crying is like, this is the part of the movie where you expect any other movie would have done it. Any other movie would have done it, but you expect, okay, here's the breakthrough. Here's the Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting when, you know, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You know, Robin Williams' brilliant performance. It's not your fault. Here's where we get that. And then, oh yes, finally Lee gets it, and we can move on, and this character can move on. That's what this scene is meant to be. You know, we feel it. Like, finally he breaks down, and we get, okay, finally. But that's not what happens. The movie does not take that dramatic turn. And it's okay. I have this note in a second. But I love that scene. Let's move on. We'll get to that note. It's okay. Here's another error, like bad shot that I think they could have fixed. This could have had an easy fix. After they nurse him back, and then he and Patrick go home, and they show that brilliant little scene where Casey, you know, picks up the rags and almost hugs Patrick and kind of moves away. Great scene. I love that. But right after that, it's such an awkward, and not on purpose, it's such a poorly directed or shot or captured scene when Patrick walks into Lee's room, his dad's old room, and then turns to look at the photos and then leaves. It's directionless. There's no reason why he's there. It feels so wrong. That scene feels so wrong. But could have had an easy fix. Super easy. If Patrick would have gone in there looking for Lee, even may have said, "Hey, Lee, where are you?" Because he didn't know where Lee went. Because they were in the kitchen, and Lee walks off. So maybe he stayed in the kitchen a second, and now he's looking for Lee. So if he would have gone in the room with the intention of maybe not had his head up, so maybe had, "Lee, where are you?" and then like turned up and realized Lee's not in there. Okay, that would have got him in the room with purpose. It would have made sense. He's looking for Lee. It would have got him in there with purpose. when he notices Lee's not there and he turns to leave, he could be caught, captured, sidetracked by, the pictures. Then take that beat with the pictures. Let it soak in because Patrick is a teenager. Patrick is in high school. Patrick has a whole life he is involved with. And his dad just died. It is not on Patrick's mind that Lee lost his children in a tragic fire. And that it was Lee not putting on the screen to the fireplace that caused an accident to happen, that the house... None of that is on his mind. None of that. He's a teenager. He lost his dad. He's got a life. He's got 2 girlfriends, a band, work, homework, hockey, all this. This is where it's an important scene. It just, in my opinion, was done wrong, and it had that quick, easy fix. He needed a way into the room, a why into the room, and then he needed to be caught by the pictures, and then take a moment at the pictures. We don't need to see the pictures. How he did it was perfectly fine, but let it sink in. I think as a director, you give that direction to Lucas Hedges. Let it sink in what happened. Let me see that in your performance. Let it sink in what happened and why Lee is such a mess. Then you can leave still looking for Lee. That would have fixed that scene. Just, you need a reason into the room, you need to be caught, let it sink in, and you need a reason out of the room. Otherwise, that scene is just, it's too, Anyway, moving on. Burning the sauce. I wasn't expecting this scene. It shocked me. I was caught off guard when his daughters are there and he said, "No, you're not burning." And then he wakes up to the burning sauce and the fire alarm. And it's there where you get that Lee gives up. He keeps telling himself he can't do this. He keeps telling himself he doesn't want to do this. But he's forcing himself to do this. I mean, he's living there right now. He's kind of like trying to force himself to do this. And this is the turning point. It wasn't the fight. We thought that he was going to turn around because that in a normal movie, that's where we would have that turnaround. We would have the character have a breakthrough, and then we would have him turn around and be great. But here we see it's not going to turn around, and here we see him give up. I can't do this. You see it. Like, that's it. And then we have that quick montage of him getting things set up, and then the dinner scene at the, that dinner scene where he says, I can't beat this. I can't. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because you want him to succeed. You want him to get better. You want him to take care of Patrick. And it feels like, as the audience, it feels like he's giving up. It feels, oh man, dude, just, you can. And just, humans are capable of more than you think. You can do this. And you don't want him to give up, but he does. I can't beat it. I can't. And then he tells him, they're going to adopt you. And it's so sad. And then when Patrick, kind of breaks down and he gets up and he hugs Patrick, it's just such a wonderful scene. And we get that this character is not moving on. And it's okay. Not every movie, this is where I said it's okay. Not every movie has to end that way. Not every movie has to have that character make that breakthrough and be the Goodwill Hunting and I'm going to go get the girl. Not every movie has to be that. It's okay that we have a character that just, he tried and he can't. It's just a movie, and you know what? This happens in life. People have things that they feel like they just cannot get over. And they give up to to, you know, the way they've become. Again with the damn music. It works. I get it. It's just, it's not my taste. I love this movie, and I can still find things, multiple things that are just a little frustrating for me. It's fine. The scene with the ball is cute at the end, when he's saying he's gonna get an extra room. Here's where we see the Lee trying to reach out a little bit, trying to get out of his comfort zone. You can come visit me. He's trying to make amends because he knows he's let Patrick down. He knows that. And so now he's trying to make amends a little bit, trying to make up for it a little bit by saying you can come visit me in Boston. He just can't stay in Manchester. He just can't stay there. And I love the way it ends. I was so caught up in the movie the first time I watched it that when it ended, I was like, oh, it's done. But the more times I watch it, the more I appreciate this ending. I love this ending when they are on the back of the boat fishing, because we've seen them have so many great times on the boat in the film, and that's where they really connect as, you know, uncle and nephew. And it's really nice to see that the film ends there. So that's Manchester by the Sea. I absolutely love it. Recommend it with all my heart. If you haven't watched it and you listened to all of this, shame on you, because I told you in the beginning I would fuck it up, and that fucks it all up. It really does. You really need to feel the experience of watching and discovering in the middle of the movie what happened, what changed Lee. It's too important to screw up. So anyway, Manchester by the Sea. Thank you for listening, and I will in a week I'll get you another one from the book, okay? Because we got to get back to the book. I think we only have about 8 left, so we're real close. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you soon.